Welcome back to another episode of Athlete POV. We're sitting down with Darius Ford, TCU basketball, sophomore guard. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just a busy day. Had class, had school. So just got out of practice, successful workouts, had a good 2 weeks, and, just doing some homework later. That's it.
There you go, homework. Got a happy balance there with every athlete, especially now in the off season. You probably have slightly more time to work on stuff. But going into athletic minds, the whole thing is sports motivation, sports medium, really motivation based for athletes, younger athletes, really specifically. So the biggest question that we have that we ask everyone: how do you stay motivated with everything that you do?
Um, Honestly, I think the love for basketball really motivates me, and just where I come from, it's hard not to stay motivated. Um, I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but I come from a poor background, a lower income community. So my family is really all I had, and basketball is really all I had. So I just try to make sure that I can work hard each and every day, not only for myself but for my family. And then here at TCU, just building that culture of winning. I think it's required of me to work hard each and every day, even if I don't want to. And my teammates are there to hold me accountable, and the same thing, vice versa. So I think just seeing the bigger picture of things. What I want to achieve with basketball also is a big part of that, and just staying motivated to play at my best and reach my potential.
Of course, and there's certainly a lot to unfold about your personal background, where you come from. So I want to give you the chance to now maybe explain all you want to about maybe where you come from, how did you come to the decision for TCU, how important is TCU to you, and the ultimate goal of getting there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm the only person on the team that's from Fort Worth, unfortunately. But I come from the lower income parts of Fort Worth. I grew up in Stop Six and Eastwood most of my life, so I was very poor growing up. I was homeless, and all I had was basketball. A lot of times I would never think that I would be a D1 athlete, even though when you're a kid growing up in AAU and high school basketball, that's every kid's dream. But never in a million years would I have thought. So my thing was just school. So I worked really hard in school. I tried to do the best I can in school. I had a 3.9 GPA. Took the SAT 5 times. So just trying to set myself up the best way I knew how to get a scholarship into school. So it was an opportunity that presented itself with TCU and having a full ride on an academic scholarship. So I interviewed for it. I got the scholarship, and I was like I still want to pursue basketball. So I did my due diligence. I was actually a manager my first year on the team. I worked really hard at that, worked out with the players, and then Coach Dixon asked me if I wanted to walk on, and I said yes, so now I'm here.
Wow, man, that's just the story that you really read about, and you're like, yeah, that's an amazing thing for anybody to do. So you should be super proud of yourself. I know you were probably definitely proud of yourself for not only getting on the basketball team, but a full academic scholarship. That's not unheard of among athletes, but it's pretty rare, I would say, in terms of now, athletes when, you look at an athlete and say, oh, they're on scholarship for sports, not academics. But look at the other way around, it's like, whoa, I can take a step back and really think about, oh, this kid really worked that hard and was that committed to, getting to where he wanted to be. So commend you for that. It's really good, and really you should be proud of that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and now to sum it up, what would you say, I know you just said a whole bunch of things about why and stuff like that, but the cliche phrase, what's your why? How would you summarize that?
Um, in all honesty, I've had and have a lot of people that have doubted me in my life, and my main thing is just proving myself right about who I am. So obviously I'm a smaller guard. So, I was a 5'2" freshman. I was a 5'5" sophomore. I was a 5'6" junior. And I was a 5'8" senior in high school playing varsity. So I was always small. So when I talk about going D1, people look at me like, dude, never. But my motivation just to keep working, and my why is really just, if I made it this far, then there's more to come. So when I was in high school and I was playing AAU, I was working to be a college athlete. So now I'm working to be a pro. So my why is just to provide a better lifestyle for me and my family than I had, and to do everything that I said I was going to do from when I was a kid, and the dreams that I've had of wanting to play in the NBA and wanting to be a pro, and everything that I remember about myself, just not giving up on that ever, and just being who I am each and every day.
Wow, man, that's definitely something that can touch a lot of people. And you realize that it's bigger than just you. Like you say, like your family. Like you don't come from maybe the best area, but okay, I'm gonna provide maybe the rest of my family. Like when I make it, when I said what I'm gonna do, and provide for them. So I think that's definitely a deep impact that you can have once you stay on that path and follow through with your consistent action that you've been taking your whole life. It seems like, right? Yeah, so now part of another question we always ask is like routines. Routines are so like a standpoint in like every really successful person's life. So the next question I just asked is, what's your morning routine look like? Like, what are some things you do every day that's just really consistent?
Um, so one thing that I try to do consistently is not only work hard at basketball, but like train my mind. So I think that with any basketball team and any basketball player, you see the greats like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. When you talk to them or you see interviews about them, they think differently about a lot of things and how they approach the game of basketball. So I think really just training my mind, working out consistently is really important. One of the coaches, Coach Benford, one of the assistant coaches, he was like, it's not no secrets to basketball. Like you have to put in the work each and every day. They always talk about Desmond Bain, who worked out 3 times a day, every day. So just consistently working. For me, my routine during the school year is a little different, but during the summer, I'm up here all day, like working out 4 or 5 times a day, just trying to get better. Shooting, ball handling, like the basics to basketball is really just what you need and learning the offense. So that and one thing I'm learning is to watch a lot of film, watch pros, watch other athletes, take something from their game and add it to my game. But yeah, basketball is really no secret. Like if you just work hard at it, you talk to people to see what you can work on. I think one
Mm,
thing that I've done over my life is always ask people, what can I get better at?
mm.
Like I'm not too prideful to ask, hey, I'm not good at this. Can you help me with this? Or from your point of
Right,
view,
right.
what can I get better at? So I think that's the main thing for me is that what I'm constantly consistent at, just asking people, how can I get better?
Right, and there's no shame in that at all. Every profession, not just like being an athlete. If you're not where you want to be, and you see someone where they are, where you want to be, ask them, hey, how did you get there? Like, what are some tips you do? Like, what are some of the things like, you're just always learning, and it's always great to, always, always learn. I feel like that's definitely something that's really important. Now, not everything is always like success. There's obviously a lot of road bumps, especially being an athlete like yourself. How do you deal with failure?
That's a really good question. Um, I think that with failure, the main thing is learning from that experience and how to be better the next time so that it won't happen again. So, so a lot of times at being an athlete, like you just have a bad practice. Like in all honesty, like you have a
Happens.
bad practice, like you'll mess up on everything. Coach will be yelling at you, and you'll feel like you're a failure in that moment. Or if you lose a big game, you feel like, hey, like this was a really bad game. I feel like I didn't play to my fullest potential. But the making of a man is how you get up after you fail. So I think that the best way to handle failure is what you do after the fact. Whether that's continue to work hard, work even harder, ask people, hey, like, how do you handle this? But I think everything after what you do when you fail is the most important. So for me, how I handle failure is just like, hey, I messed up today, but I gotta have a better day tomorrow, and that's all I can do.
Absolutely. And now another thing that's really similar to maybe like failure and like the same feeling as when you fell is maybe when people then like say and talk like really negative about like you or say a team or really just anything, especially on social media per se, right? So how next one, how would you like describe how you block out outside noise that doesn't really affect you personally, but it exists and it's there and you have to like actively like defend it, not look at it, something like that.
Um, honestly, for me, I think that I really use it as motivation. Um, I mean, I'm people my age just we're on social media all the time, so it's hard not to look at stuff,
Seems
especially
valuable,
when it's
yeah.
about and people don't really know you at all. So I just use it as I use it as motivation. Everything that people say I can't do, I go do it, and then also it's just like in my head I say like people don't really know me, Like, you don't know the real Darius unless you have a conversation with me or you talk to me. So, I mean, once you do that, then you'll see I'm a cool guy. Then everything that you say about me is probably wrong anyway. So,
Right.
like,
And I was gonna say, you see like people like talk say such bad things about athletes online, and then they would never say that in person. So it's all like a thing up front on social media. So like you really would, like you said, if once you meet you, you're like, oh yeah, you're a normal person, not just like someone who puts on a uniform every other day for like as an athlete. You're a person, feeling stuff like that. So
yeah,
I feel like it's definitely really important too. But let's talk about yourself a little bit personally. You started a foundation, right? Change for Kids. Talk
yeah.
about that a little bit and how the process of creating that formed.
So, when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to go to Arizona to compete um, in a leader, like basically a leadership summit, and they wanted us to come up with an idea that would change the world. And in their heads, they said, we want you to create a business that not only benefits you but benefits other people, and that could possibly change the world. So, with my background, I'm just like, it's a lot of kids in my community that don't know about financial literacy, and money rules the world. Like, you have to be able to know how to manage your money. You have to be able to know how to invest in it, how to pay bills, and everything like this. So I said, you know what, I want to make an organization, a nonprofit organization that can help kids in my community learn about financial literacy so they can reverse the cycle of poverty in their own communities. And that's something that I'm trying to do now. So I had a chance to compete in Arizona. I won $1,000 scholarship, and then a couple months later, we traveled to Detroit, Michigan for the 2019 Invention Convention, where we won $12,000 for the organization. So,
Wow, man, that's some really like behind the scenes stuff probably that no one really sees so much in the light. And I think it's really important how giving back. It's not all about you. It's like how you try to make not only yourself, your family, but now the community better too. So now leading into this, how do you manage all of this? Like student athlete, like you own this like you run this foundation about we probably put so much time into it. How do you what was just the biggest tip into managing all these different like things in your life?
um, I honestly think that what's important to you in that season. So for me, because I'm involved in a lot, sometimes I do have to make sacrifices because it's not just about me, but it's about what I can offer to other people. So I'm also in a fraternity too. So
Right.
that takes up a lot of my time. So at one point in time during the season, I just communicated with the coaches like, hey, like I have to sacrifice basketball right now for this because this is something that I really want to do. So I think just communication and just and I'm I'm more than an athlete. I've always been that. I
Right.
always tell people like I was Darius Ford before I ever picked up a basketball. So I'm gonna continue to be
Hmm.
myself, and if I see a change and I want to create that change, then I'm gonna do it because I feel like that's what God called me to do. So I think that's the main part: just communicating with people and just sacrifice.
That's definitely super powerful, especially when you said I was Darius Ford before I even picked up a basketball. That's definitely something that resonated with me. Like, whoa, like that's just shows the impact. Like, you're not just a basketball player, a college athlete. You're Darius Ford. You're a person. You're a leader. You're a foundation. Like you run a foundation. Like you do so much. It's not just like athletics. So that's definitely also really important. Where do you see yourself maybe in 5 years from now after college is all over?
To be honest, I wanna shine at the NBA. Like that's something it's funny because like I remember being in kindergarten and being like I want to be an NBA player. Like I just remember it vividly, and that's what I want to have a shot at. Obviously, I want to get my degree first, and if I can potentially get my master's degree, I definitely want to get my master's degree just because I'm the first in my family to do it. So that's a goal that I have in my head. But yeah, and then everything that I I do on top of basketball, I want to do. So making my foundation even bigger, seeing how I can help out in my community even more, and be a community activist is something that I plan on doing. Like I really want to give back to my, and I want to make a lot of change here in Fort Worth as well as across the world. So
And across the world too. That just shows like how the compound effect can be, like of everything you've done. So that's definitely something to look forward to in the future as well. Once the community builds that you're building, right now. And like you said before, I had this dream when I was so young in kindergarten, and now it's go time. It's time to execute. Everything you've done up until now is over. Like, how are you going to continue? So that's really important. I think you can look at that for everything, not just basketball. Like everything in the past is what it is. Those goals you set back when you started, they still exist in present time. So what are you doing now after everything all you've done to move forward into that? So that's super important as well. All right, so now let's go to a lighter side here. We have a bunch of like lighthearted questions just to ask. We all always ask our guests this. If you go to dinner with two people, dead or alive, who are you going with? Where are you going? What are you ordering?
Oh, okay. Two people, Kobe Bryant and Maya Angelou. I'm not going anywhere fancy. Probably. So it's this place, like it's like a little breakfast place, but it's like Southern food called Dixie House. I'm going there,
Okay.
and I'm ordering pancakes, hash browns, eggs, and bacon with a biscuit and gravy and an orange juice.
Okay. Now follow up. You think that type of food? You think that fits into their diet too?
Yes. Just see, I feel like that's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm gonna say yes. I'm just going out on a whim and I'm saying yes.
Okay, fair point. I think if you like it and you take them there, I'm sure they'll follow through and eat what you order. Definitely really cool. Follow up. We always ask this one too. Who would you say your biggest role models are in terms of like a sports figure?
Oh, that's a great question too. Honestly, I would say Kobe Bryant and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie because that was my favorite player growing up. Like as soon as his first year with the Cavs, I was a Kyrie fan. And Kobe Bryant just from his mindset. Like I have his book. I watched his movie Muse. Like I just fantasized about him as a kid and just like learned so much from him speaking and just his work ethic. Definitely like two players I really look up to.
Something I really admired about Kobe Bryant was not only like basketball, of course, but stuff he did after basketball. But he won an award for like a film for film. You know, I feel like he couldn't just stay still. Like he had to do something. And I feel like that drive like doesn't end when your basketball career is over. Like you always have more goals that you want to do and like affect so many other people. So I feel like that's another big thing of how Kobe was so impactful and in the society really. All right. If you could give any advice maybe to anyone going through a tough time, maybe with their mental health per se, what advice would you give to them?
I think the advice that I always give is don't give up. No matter how bad it seems right now, it's always sunshine after the storm, and it may not always feel good to go through things, but it's always gonna get better. Always. Like even when it don't seem like it, even when you can't see it, like it'll always get better. Always.
Absolutely, man. You can't always dwell on the hard times. Of course, everyone's gonna have them, but it's how you rebound. You know, it shows character of how you react to certain situations, like really intense situations, or I just got a flat tire in my car. Like, how do you react to that? Am I gonna like cry and scream in my car if I got a flat tire, or am I gonna call AAA and get them to come back as soon as possible? So they can come back and you fix it up. So I think that's how you react shows character. I feel like that's the main message I'm trying to get at what you were just saying.
Thanks.
Definitely. So now I want to open up the floor to yourself to maybe talk about something that we didn't talk about at all that you think is important, or if there's nothing else, so be it. That could be it. But is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like I think it's really important to not give up on your dreams. I think that the world will give you every reason to give up, but you have to give yourself a reason to keep going. If you're looking for validation from anybody, it will never come. Like, you have to be your motivating factor, because even sometimes your family won't support you, your closest friends won't see the dream. Like if you see the vision, then you have to go after it. And I think it's just really important. Just don't give up, even when it's hard. And going back to your question before, like if you're going through a process, it'll never feel good. If you think about when you work out, like you want to get stronger, but it doesn't feel good. When you want to get in shape, you got to run, and it doesn't feel good. Or even when you're playing basketball, you want to win a game, but after 35 minutes, you're tired. So whenever you go through a process, it's preparing you for your victory, and it's preparing you for your purpose. But you just got to fight through that pain that's in the middle.
Man, is that so powerful to hear, especially from someone like yourself. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure our viewers will really get a lot out of this, really get into the mind of where you come from, about where your goals are, and what your impact is to the community now, and in the future for years and years to come, for as long as you're alive, So I really appreciate your time once again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, man. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.